October 1st, 331 BCE, the sun rises over the dusty plains of Gaugamela, casting long shadows across what would become one of history's most decisive battlefields. Nearly 250,000 Persian warriors thundered toward 47,000 Macedonians, their scythed chariots bristling with bronze blades, their immortals gleaming in scaled armor. Alexander the Great sits astride Bucephalus, preparing to claim an empire that stretches from India to Egypt. But today, something impossible cuts through the morning mist. Three shapes that shouldn't exist, metal beasts designed by aliens, powered by thunder itself. 70 tons of American steel, accompanied by 25 of the world's most lethal warriors. What happens when 21st century warfare crashes into antiquity's greatest battlefield? The answer might surprise you. Meet the M182 Abrams, America's main battle tank and quite possibly the most sophisticated armored vehicle on Earth. These three mechanical beasts weigh in at 70 tons each, powered by a 1,500 horsepower turbine engine that sounds like a jet fighter at idle. The main gun? A 120mm smoothbore cannon that can engage targets accurately at 3,000 meters. That's nearly 2 miles. The M829A4 APFSDS rounds move at 1,700 meters per second and can penetrate over 800 millimeters of steel armor. Each tank carries 42 main gun rounds, plus 12,400 rounds of 7.62mm ammunition. The real advantage isn't just firepower. It's information. Thermal imaging that can spot body heat signatures at 4,000 meters, laser rangefinders accurate to within 1 meter, and a ballistic computer that calculates windage, range, and target movement automatically. The crew can engage multiple targets while moving at 45 miles per hour across rough terrain. The Marines carry M4A1 carbines with ACOG scopes, effective to 600 meters. Each Marine has 210 rounds of 5.56mm ammunition, body armor rated to stop rifle rounds, and ANPVS-14 night vision. 2 Marines carry M249 squad automatic weapons with 1,200 rounds each. But here's reality. These tanks consume 1.67 gallons per mile. With 490-gallon fuel tanks, they have roughly 290 miles of range. The Marines have 6,000 total rifle rounds between them. Once those are gone, they're armed with bayonets and determination. More critically, they have zero logistic support, no GPS satellites, no air cover, and no way to call for help. They're 2,356 years from the nearest spare part. Darius III didn't come to Gaugamela to lose. The Persian Empire's army represented the pinnacle of ancient military technology, with professional soldiers drawn from across the known world. The core infantry consisted of 60,000 Takabara spearmen, not the Hollywood version of poorly armed peasants, but professional soldiers with bronze-skilled armor, 8-foot spears, and large wicker shields reinforced with bronze. These men trained from childhood and had conquered territories from Greece to India. The 10,000 immortals represented special forces by ancient standards. Iron-skilled armor, composite bows with 150-meter effective range, and iron-tipped spears. They were called immortals because their numbers were kept constant. Every casualty immediately replaced. The scythe chariots, while fearsome-looking, were actually more psychological weapons than practical ones. Historical accounts show they were easily countered by disciplined infantry, who simply opened ranks and let them pass through. The real threat was the 34,000 cavalry, Bactrians, Saldians, and Saki horsemen who could fire composite bows accurately while riding at full gallop. These weren't European knights in heavy armor. They were mobile skirmishers who excelled at hit-and-run tactics. Darius commanded roughly 250,000 men total, still massive by ancient standards, but archaeological evidence suggests Persian armies were smaller than classical sources claimed. At 600 hours, the Abrams crews start their engines. The turbine whine echoes across the plain like nothing the ancient world has heard. Persian scouts gallop back, reporting iron demons and thunder without lightning. Darius, experienced in warfare against diverse enemies, doesn't panic. He's fought Scythian horse archers, Greek hoplites, and Indian war elephants. Whatever these things are, they're outnumbered 80,000 to 1. At 1,800 meters, the lead tank acquires the Scythe Chariot formation. One 120mm heat round obliterates the lead chariot and kills the horses of two others. The psychological effect is immediate. Horses bolt, formations waver. But 10,000 Persian cavalry immediately charge from three directions. The Marines open fire at 400 meters. 23 rifles firing in semi-automatic mode. They're professionals, not movie heroes spraying bullets everywhere. Each shot counts. At 400 meters, 5.56mm rounds are devastating against unarmored targets, but the psychological impact matters more than the casualties. Here's where ancient warfare gets complicated. The Persians don't mass up like Napoleon's infantry. They spread out, using terrain, dust, and sheer numbers. The tanks can only engage one target at a time, and reload takes precious seconds. Tank 2's thermal sight picks up cavalry moving through a dry riverbed at 2,200 meters, invisible to the naked eye. One main gun round eliminates 12 horsemen, but now they're approaching from dead ground that thermal can't penetrate. At 0630 hours, Persian arrows begin falling around the Marine positions. Bronze-tipped arrows can't penetrate modern body armor, but an arrow to the face is still lethal. The tanks are burning through ammunition faster than expected. Ancient armies don't conveniently line up in rows. Every shot is against scattered, fast-moving targets. Tank 1 fires 9 main gun rounds to break up a cavalry charge that's already dispersing. By 7 o'clock, the problems are mounting. Tank 3's air filter is clogged with ancient Mesopotamian dust, something not tested at Aberdeen Proving Ground. Engine power drops 20%, maximum speed reduced to 30 miles per hour. The Marines are down to 4,200 rounds. In modern combat, that's a firefight. Against 250,000 enemies, it's barely a warm-up. Sergeant Williams' M4 jams sand in the bolt carrier. He's down to a sidearm, 45 rounds of 9mm. More critically, the Persians are adapting. Darius orders his forces to attack at night when ancient eyes are equal to modern ones. The tanks have thermal imaging, but only 3 sets. They can't be everywhere at once. The biggest problem isn't tactical, it's strategic. Every round fired is irreplaceable. Every gallon of fuel burned brings them closer to becoming 70-ton paper weights. Tank 2 shows 40% fuel remaining. In Persian numerical superiority, time is the enemy's greatest weapon. At 0745, a lucky arrow finds the gap between Tank 1's turret and hull, severing a hydraulic line. The main gun can't elevate properly. The crew can repair it, but now while under fire from 10,000 archers. Persian casualties are significant, maybe 8,000 dead, 15,000 wounded, but Darius still has 225,000 effective soldiers. The math is brutal and getting worse. By 900 hours, reality sets in. The tanks have expended 31 of their 42 main gun rounds each. The Marines are down to 2,800 rifle rounds and 3 KIA. They've inflicted massive casualties. Estimates suggest 12,000 Persian dead, but they're fighting the ancient equivalent of the Chinese Red Army. The tactical situation becomes untenable when Tank 2 runs dry on fuel. 70 tons of immobile steel, no matter how sophisticated, is just an expensive bunker. The crew scuttles it with a thermite grenade and joins the Marine perimeter. Tank 3's engine finally seizes from dust ingestion at 0930 hours. Tank 1, showing fumes in the fuel gauge, makes a fighting withdrawal toward Alexander's lines. The remaining Marines bound by squads, using their last ammunition to break contact. The outcome? Alexander still wins Gaugamela, but barely. The Persian army, while bloodied and demoralized by their encounter with demons, doesn't break completely. Darius maintains enough force to conduct a fighting retreat. Instead of the total Persian collapse that historically occurred, Alexander wins a costly victory. Persian resistance continues for another decade instead of crumbling immediately. The Hellenistic period begins with a whimper rather than a bang. Historically, Alexander lost 100 men at Gaugamela. With modern intervention, his casualties jump to 1,200. The Persians, instead of losing 300,000, classical sources are notoriously inflated, lose perhaps 40,000. Devastating, but not empire-ending. The battle gets remembered as the day thunder spoke, when gods themselves joined mortal combat. Persian veterans speak of iron demons that killed from impossible distances, while Macedonian soldiers claim divine intervention secured their victory. So what's the lesson? Modern technology is devastatingly effective, but it's not magic. 3 tanks and 25 Marines can inflict massive casualties and change tactical dynamics, but they can't rewrite the fundamental mathematics of warfare. Ancient armies were huge, resilient, and led by competent professionals. Technology provides advantages, not guarantees. Numbers, logistics, and endurance still matter, even 2,300 years later. What do you think? Could different tactics have made our modern forces more effective? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more realistic military scenarios. Next week, what if a single Apache helicopter supported the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae? We'll crunch the numbers on ancient warfare versus modern firepower, realistically. Thanks for watching, and remember, in warfare, there are no guaranteed victories, only calculated risks.